And with this movie, we have finally finished with all of the Jurassic Park films, and I couldn't be more glad that it's over, because this whole thing, similar to the Jurassic Park franchise, is shown a consistently dip in quality as the movies progress, where the first two are at least enjoyable enough, and the third one is always the worst of the bunch. And this is a movie that just released last year at the time of this recording. So yeah, I was way more disappointed with this film than in the previous one. The previous one at least had some good action. I watched the 2022 film Jurassic World Dominion. There's one part of this movie that I actually really liked, maybe one or two parts, but aside from that, this film was a complete letdown for me. There wasn't anything that I found or connected with in any sense. Even some of the choices made in the film was a bit off, like the reasons why some things are happening. It felt a bit off, and the story overall, again, didn't really seem to connect with me all that much. You are expected to believe that the military doesn't exist, hunters don't exist, any people with guns, especially in the western areas, don't exist, and how these dinosaurs with no fur, they're surviving in this icy cold regions, especially the velociraptors, and that's not explained. How can they just adapt to something like that? There's a raptor with feathers that just swims in ice cold water and comes out of it mostly dry. And nothing even happens. There's some silly things like that. I'm not gonna say that the first movie wasn't silly, but it had good execution. It had some believable stuff in it. At least while watching it, you still feel it's believable. Even the second movie, to some extent, even though the characters are stupid. Here we have a villain that is as forgettable as this movie. I had to think, like, who was Dodson, because he wasn't really anything in the first movie. He just had one scene and that's it. But I kind of like that they were expanding on that, and then this is what came out of it. But if you aren't as devoted to the previous films, then you are going to be lost with this. But he just seems kind of stupid to me. Even the whole plan, this is less of a dinosaur movie. This felt more like two movies smashed together, because in some parts it is a dinosaur movie. Like, it explores the dinosaurs living in our world, which is kind of weird to me, because how did any of these dinosaurs that live on land get to other continents? With the ocean, I can understand, but this is the movie saying that the dinosaurs are now living everywhere. So kind of confused as to how that happened. Even at the end, this is gonna be a spoiler if you haven't watched it yet, but the ending of this movie says that dinosaurs and humans and animals of our world have started to coexist, which was way more confusing considering there wasn't anything in this movie. Like, none of the events in this movie was leading up to that. Like, how did that happen? And the action is even more underwhelming this time around, even with the return of the original characters, which I am glad that they are here. I loved that Colin was able to bring back the original cast, the original trio, Jeff Goldblum, Sam Neill, and Laura Dern. It was fun seeing them together on the screen again. It was so fun, but my problem is with the reason that they were brought on screen. I just didn't really care for the locusts. I came to see dinosaurs. I want to see dinos. Unlike what Jurassic World thinks, we are not bored of dinosaurs. I want to see a dinosaur. That's it. Here the dinosaurs are usually in the background, and ever since the third film, these dinosaurs have really started to behave less like animals and more like monsters. Here, with the exception of the velociraptor, most of the dinosaurs here behave like monsters. I kind of like the apex predator shit, like what they tried to do in Jurassic Park 3, only they did it right in this movie, where the bigger Gigantosaurus, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right, but that dinosaur is pitted against the T-Rex, And in the climax, I was worried that they're gonna do the same mistake they did in the third movie, which is killing off the T-Rex. But no, the king lives and he's still the king. Although I'm not happy with how they killed off the Gigantosaurus, but I am glad that the T-Rex wins. So, you know, I love the T-Rex. I don't want to see that thing getting died. Okay, it's one of the things I hate in Jurassic Park 3, even more so than the dinosaur, than the raptor going Alan. I hate that they killed off the T-Rex. I love that T-Rex. Leave that thing alone. Let it be the king. And this movie does that. It does try to fake you out, which made me a bit concerned, but because, you know, I'm watching this for the first time. But yeah, kind of glad that the other dinosaur dies. The T-Rex is still supreme. I love that. I'm fine with that. And those are the only things that I like. The references to the first Jurassic Park movie. I feel like if you have watched, or if you're fond of the first Jurassic Park movie, even the second one to some extent, then you're gonna enjoy some of the references to the first movie. I enjoyed that, and that's pretty much where all my enjoyment ends. I hated the child in this movie even more so than in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. She never faces any consequences for what she did. She is the reason that dinosaurs are out in the world and killing people, and she faces zero consequences for that. And more so, she has the audacity to talk back to the people who actually saved her and raised her. I get it, she's a teenager, but no. Maybe that's the Indian side of me, but I just could not stand that she didn't face any consequences. If the same movie was done in India, she would have faced some consequences, even something small, like, you know, at least an apology on her part, something. But she never faces any consequences, and the movie treats it as if nothing ever happened. The whole reason that everything in this movie is happening is because of her. And they try to make B.D. Wong's character Henry Wu, they try to make him a good guy, which I don't know if you noticed, but he's the reason that dinosaurs actually exist in our world. At least they tried to give him a redemption with the locust thing. I did not care for the locusts. That was such a stupid addition. People are coming to this movie to see dinosaurs. They're coming to see they're not coming to see big bugs eating out crops. I don't want to see that, especially in the Jurassic World movie. And this movie somehow becomes like two movies. Somewhere in the middle portion of this film, there's a huge chunk of this movie that's basically an espionage thriller and an action thriller with dinosaurs in the background. Like, I'm almost confident, at least after watching this movie, that Chris Pratt would be a pretty good addition to the Mission Impossible franchise, because this movie kind of reminded me of that. Like, instead of the thing that Ethan Hunt needs to get, it's dinosaurs. That's it. Like, the dinosaurs are pretty much in the background. This majority of it becomes either a espionage thriller or an action thriller. Like, there's a sequence that in the motorcycle with raptors chasing him, and it just reminded me of most action movies in India, like Ekta Tiger War. It kind of reminded me of that, and even more so from Mission Impossible. There's a espionage kind of thing with Laura Dern and Sam Neill's character, which again reminds me of any espionage thriller where they need to do something, and it just completely derails from what the audience wants to see, and that is dinosaurs. I did not have fun with this movie. It's not a movie that if given the choice I would never watch it again, but I can say that there are some enjoyable aspects if you know what you're getting into. Like, if you don't mind any of the action thriller stuff or the espionage angle that they're going here, then I say you might enjoy this movie. But if you're just looking for a movie that gives references to the first Jurassic Park movie, and you just want to see the original cast share the screen space, and you want to see the T-Rex fighting something that's bigger than him and then emerging out the winner, then there are parts of this movie that you're gonna enjoy. But as a movie overall, it is kind of disappointing that this is the movie that we're ending Jurassic World on. But I couldn't say that I didn't enjoy it. I enjoyed parts of it. The movie overall was just disappointing.
All the alcohol is in my liver. I guess I lost and you're the winner. Missing your touch, you were a good kisser. I was born to sing, but now